Hello, Mr. Sadhguru. It's
Madam, how are you, Jafar?
it's such an honor to speak with you. So I always inspired from your work for the past years, and it's great to speak with you right now in here. So I'm Jafar Jafari. They know me as Master Jeff. So I'm
Oh, you're a competition for me, huh? I'm supposed to be a good cook.
yeah. There is a lot of the title will give it to me as an inner potential angel or so many other stuff. So I'm helping over 100,000 of beautiful soul around the world to bring them attention to what's happening in the world in person, live, and millions and virtual. As you said, now is the best time to speak with people virtually. And I always working on to bring the attention of the people to say what is happening environmentally and what we have to do to save the future for our kids, our next generation. And it was great when some people from your organization bring my attention to the soil. I didn't know how critical situation it is and how we are responsible to throw out this word to the board and let the people to understand what is happening under your knees. So because basically we were worried a lot about the situation and pollution and what's happening on the environment, but the soul is a main source of every human being on the planet. Thanks so much for bringing our attention to this topic, and I hope I can do anything in my power, even a small move, to make your beautiful vision to go through and people see it. My question is
Yeah.
during this, as you mentioned, the war is going to be civil war in 2035, and it's undeniable if the people they're working toward that years and they're not doing anything right now. And we are dealing with such a horrible war right now in Russia and in Ukraine. I would love to know this kind of action from humanity, as I believe human it's the worst threat for the mother nature and the earth and could be the best healing part of that as well. So what kind of effect this kind of war happening on the soil and the land and how we can recover it and how long does it take time?
See, a war is a terrible disaster, no matter who starts it, who fights it, for what purpose or reason they fight it. A war is a terrible, terrible thing, especially in the modern era where our ability to damage each other is so big. So big means that, it's too big. So when we have technologies like this, unfortunately, human capabilities have gone into creating more and more destructive devices everywhere. After World War II, most people believed never again human beings will go into another war because we saw the worst that you could see. Something nobody had imagined, the scale and the number of deaths and the way it happened. So, a whole lot of people that generation believed in another century nobody is going to fight a war. But just see since 1944, how many wars have we fought? Endlessly we've been fighting somewhere or the other. And a lot of people said when the year 2000 came, in 21st century there'll be no wars. It's the age of information technology, we are going to do fantastic things. In 21st century, just see how many wars have happened, how many nations been destroyed, cultures being destroyed, it's been happening. So, do not let these things, because it's very unfortunate these things are happening, but at the same time, do not find or use this war as an excuse to divert our attention from something even more fundamental than war, because once there is food shortage, there will be war within families, within communities, within cities, within nations, everywhere there will be war. I want you to look at this. By 2045, it is expected we will be producing 40% less food than what we are producing today, and our populations will be over 9 billion. This is not a world you want to live in. This is not a world where we want to leave our children and go, for sure. So, this is far more important. I am not saying war is not important for me, peace is important for me, but unfortunately human beings are getting into this mode very often. Every 5 years, 10 years, we are relapsing into some war or the other. One reason is we have invested too much in war machines. Once we have invested so much in war machines, we have to use it on somebody. It's become like that. It's almost compulsory, economic compulsion for a whole lot of nations that they have to get into some military conflict if they have to survive in various ways. So I don't want to go into the geopolitical complex, for lack of words I'm saying rubbish that human beings are doing. They call it geopolitics. This is rubbish that human beings are doing against each other. Leaving that aside, soil is an important thing. If soil is not attended to for any reason, because there was a war or because there was something else, because either the war is happening or a party is going on, for both reasons people will not attend to soil. Whichever way, if you do not attend to soil, we will be robbing the future generations of their livelihood and life, right to life. This is a crime against humanity, because soil is not our property, it's come to us as a legacy. We must pass it on as a living entity. This is one important thing. Soil is not inert material, it is a living organism. It is a living entity. It has more life than you have in your body. If you take a handful of soil, it has anywhere between 6 to 10 billion organisms, more lives than what exists on the planet. A handful of soil has this much life. If we don't take care of it, there is no way any life can survive. This does not mean tomorrow morning, just like that, human beings will all fall dead. No, it is a slide. It happens so slowly, till it happens to you, you don't notice it. It is already happening to so many people. 820 million people are going to bed tonight with their stomachs empty. As she said, I'm sorry, our basketball player, she said, Dylan said that, over 2 billion people are malnourished. Malnourishment is the beginning. Hunger and famine is the next step. Last year, in 2021, the World Food Program, who is our partner right now in this whole movement, spent $9 billion distributing food in Africa and South America. This year they want 15 billion because the number of famines are definitely going to increase. How long will you go on providing food like this from somewhere else? People have to grow food around themselves, and for that soil has to be rich. And it is expected that by 2032, 1 to 1.2 billion people will be migrating in this world. When migration happens in unplanned ways, the suffering that they go through is untold, especially for women and children. The worst thing that can happen is forced migration. What happens to them, terrible things. I have been, in camps where these things are happening. What happens to particularly women and children is so unspeakable. It's the most wretched and terrible things happening to them simply because they just landed up in a new place where they don't know the language, they don't know how to survive, what to do. It is absolutely inhuman. But this is happening on this scale. 1.2 billion people will migrate in the next 10 years' time. Where will they go? Which city will they go to? All these slums will grow and violence, these things are happening. Even within United States it's happening, all right? Those of you who live in Los Angeles, you know, on the sidewalks there are people camping. So what is all this about? We can always give so many reasons, but the fundamental thing is this, that as the richness in the soil goes down, the agricultural input that needs to go to grow a crop keeps on going up, and the cost of production goes up. Because of this, till now the statistics show that in the last 12 years, 50% of the American farmers have not seen a single dollar of profit. And farming community has the highest amount of suicide rate for any given profession in United States. In India, over 300,000 farmers have committed suicide in the last 20 years because soil is poor. People say it's because of bank loan, but why is the bank loan so high? Simply because the input cost has gone up, the yield is not coming out, because you have killed the soil and trying to beat the dead horse. It doesn't work like that. You can't race a dead horse. This is what it is. We are killing the soil and then trying to produce food from it. This is not going to work like that. We have to enrich the soil. Organic content has to go back into the soil for it to be alive. Without that, you can't get it going. The most important thing is, we must understand about approximately they're saying about 1 billion years ago, life in its complexity that we have, like mammals and you and me, are able to live here only because our atmosphere has nearly 21% oxygen in it. But 1 billion years ago, the oxygen level was well below 2%. So there was no way any complex life could have existed. What happened since then to now is this: the great phenomena of photosynthesis started. Photosynthesis means using the perpetual energy of the sun, started manufacturing carbon sugars, that goes back into the soil and it feeds the microorganisms, that multiplies into various other nutrients which feeds the plant life, then the animal life and then the human beings and all this. So photosynthesis is the key element. I want you to look at it like this: 500 years ago or 1000 years ago, how much photosynthesis was happening on the planet, and today how much it's happening. If you look at it, it's come down significantly because wherever you go, you see the soil is either plowed or paved. Plowed and paved soils are the main problem. Soil should have grasses, bushes, scrub, trees, whatever. Some green leaf must be there and photosynthesis must go on, and the soil should be under shade as much as possible. If this has to happen, it is very important that we have to adopt regenerative form of agriculture. So there are many ways to do it. We have written whole policy books now for each country separately. The first group of nations we are going to is Caribbean. Now on the 10th of this month I am there. 9 out of the 11 countries are signing MOUs with us to bring in these policies as their national policies to regenerate soil, and the UN agencies are also who are working with us will also assist this process.